Well, good Wednesday morning, halfway through the work week, 4 minutes past 10 o'clock. We're already up to 63 degrees here at the KRIM studios on West Frontier. This morning on KRIM's Community Spotlight, going to be talking about the Payson Warming Center. And with us to tell us a little bit more about this, we have the president of the Warming Center and also their food director, Emily Bryce, with us, and director of operations, Skylar Bryce. And first of all, thanks to both of you for coming down and being with us this morning. We appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
Now, for people that may not be aware of the Warming Center, first of all, this is the Warming Center itself is headquartered at 601 East Highway 260 in Building A. That's Mount Cross Lutheran Church there. Tell people a little bit about what the Warming Center is all about.
The Warming Center is a safe sanctuary for the community to come to get connection, get good food, get some resources to better their life, whatever situation they may be in.
And we have homeless people that are living out in the woods and things like that. That, I mean, just especially as the temperatures start to drop now, and I mean, up on top of the rim, we're getting into the 30s tonight for the first time at Forest Lake. So I mean, it's getting to be that time of year where all of a sudden, just staying out in the woods isn't as easy as it would be maybe during the summer.
Yes, it's very difficult if you don't have the life skills to live out in the forest have a proper shelter. So it's going to be getting crucially cold in the next couple of weeks, dropping temperatures, and people will not be able to live in those kind of temperatures.
And how long has the Warming Center been in operation now?
We opened, our first day was December 15th, 2019.
Wow, has it been that long?
And so we started, that was the day we got the paperwork, town insurance, everything done. And we are a grassroots 501c3, so all volunteer based. And we opened that day. We closed March 15th because of COVID. And in those 90 days, we had over 215 intakes of adults.
Wow. And now, gosh, there's just so many different questions here. When it comes to the people that come to you, most of these folks are homeless?
The significant portion, the fancy jargon term is continuum of care.
Right.
So it's also people at high risk. Maybe they had an unexpected bill, a death, someone moved out of the place they're in.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden they realize just how at risk they are, or they no longer have water. They've had to make these sacrifices that many people cannot relate to.
Mm-hmm.
So we are able to directly connect them with the community resources that are available, like Community Action Program and other churches, and trying to get them back on their feet. Also cut the little costs out of the way, so toiletries, toothbrush, toothpaste, things like that. We're able to help them with, so they don't have to come out of pocket for all those little expenses when life is already hitting them.
Now, as far as the 501c3 that you're talking about, what's the legal name?
The Payson Homeless and Homeless Veterans Initiative.
All right, very good. And Emily, I know one of the things that you mentioned before going on the air this morning is I know you've got a big food background, and you've been doing a lot with the food prep for this. But speaking of other churches being involved, a lot of what you do as far as the food prep is actually done over at Mountain Bible, right?
Yes, I'm really grateful to use a kitchen that was created by their church and a local chef that moved to Sedona, Gerardo.
Right.
And instead of letting it die out, I asked, could I bring maybe the food program back to life this next coming January like they used to have on Mondays, and also create 7 meals. So 700 meals in 2 hours on Monday with a group of volunteers that show up from 10 to 2 every Monday at the Mountain Bible Church.
And what kind of meals are you doing?
We do really good food that's going to make them healthy. So lots of soups, lots of vegetables, lots of stuff from the community garden.
Mm-hmm.
We have about a half a cow left from the Lyman's Ranch. We do fundraisers to keep local ranches and local businesses thriving.
Did the Lyman's Ranch, did they donate beef for this?
They do donate beef for fundraisers, but we do go out of pocket for actually a whole cow. That way we can teach children, adults, and people also the cuts, the breakdown. Cassie's coming in and gonna do a class once every 3 months to
Cassie's
teach people.
a sweetheart, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Plus, you're getting kind of a quantity discount by buying that way, so that just makes perfectly logical sense. Now, About how many people are you feeding? Now, are you doing this every day?
Yes.
7 days a week, 365 days a year. Even when we have natural disasters, we become a natural disaster relief for the local community.
All right. And what are the numbers currently that you're feeding
Well,
each day?
you can see a spike, which is pretty erratic, but we're down to about 8 people one night, and then the next night we'll have 35 people. So
Wow.
it's really hit or miss, and then it's especially the families coming in, word of mouth, single parents raising a bunch of children. The networking between the single parents is getting around, and a lot more people are realizing we're a safe place, we're not going to judge, we're going to give you any access to resource that you can. If you just communicate with us, we're here to help.
Right, makes sense. And I'm assuming that again with the cold weather just now really starting to, the temperatures have just started to drop just in the last couple of days, where we're down 10 to 15 degrees lower than we were, and so I would imagine that this is going to create a little bit of a spike in activity for you all as well.
Yes, donation drop-offs are very hot right now. Just to let you know, a lot of people are doing their cleaning or realizing, oh, it's nippy outside. So we always do take donations, but we also work in tandem. So if we get too many donations, we go to the other local community resource places like New Beginnings or the Nook or Time Out Shelter, and give what they need most relevant. So.
And when you talk about donations, you're not talking monetary donations?
Most of our donations come in are the physical stuff we ask for. There's lists on an Amazon. We have the Amazon
Wish list.
but we also have an Amazon thing that you sign in. What is that called?
We have Amazon Smile, so
There
if
we
you
go.
shop with Amazon and click an organization, it'll give, I think, 1% of your order to the warming center.
Well, that's huge.
Yes.
Yes.
So things like that really add up.
Because I know, at least in my family, we buy a lot on Amazon, and so and again, what do we need to be looking for? The Payson Warming Center, and is that the whole legal name is what you'd be looking for with that?
It's gonna be the Payson Homeless and Homeless Veteran Initiative. That's our legal 501c3.
Okay,
The Warming Center is a project of the
Gotcha.
501c3.
gotcha. So look for that when you're making your Amazon purchases, and 1% of it will automatically just go right to that. That's an excellent idea.
And that's most nonprofits that sign up for that. So if it's on your heart to go to any program,
And that's
it's just
Amazon Smile.
Amazon Smile. Just type that in, and
Right.
it just signs you in. And do that for an organization. It doesn't have to be us. Anywhere if you're going to do a lot of shopping, because it helps.
Sure,
It
sure.
really helps.
Now, I assume that your activity peaks in the winter?
Yes, so there's spikes throughout the month, and certainly. So the 1st and 15th of the month, we can always see a drop-off or a decline. When the eviction moratorium finally kind of wonked the 3rd time, there was a huge spike in August. So there's always just extra factors playing in. And then we can also feel effects of if Albuquerque is going real bad. We're about 1 gas tank from Albuquerque, and people don't realize things like that. So
Right.
sometimes a very distant location can be being hit very hard with fentanyl or a drug, and we get the repercussions, and it's hard to realize just what's taking place to cause this influx here. Where all of a sudden, the cops and I have 6 or 8 couples dropped off in Payson within a week. We have to figure out why.
Well, this is, and you folks have really become, working through the local churches and stuff, you've become kind of the hub that if a person in need comes to these churches, I imagine they're pointing them towards you when it comes to food and things like that.
Our goal is that. So the other ones also help a lot. So each church has their own program, but if they advertise it too much, they won't be able to sustain it. We are doing our best to stay local. We want all of our community to know about us and have a no wrong door policy. Essentially, if they go anywhere, we would love for them to refer to us. The convenience stores all know about me, things like that, because that's a very obvious place for our population to go. But if we can get the community just to be comfortable with using our resource, what we want to do is properly refer people instead of allowing grifters to take all the resources from our community when actual families don't even know that those resources are there.
Right, interesting. Now, when it comes to I think one of the other questions that people might have on something like this is, I know that there are folks that take advantage of these kinds of things. How do you deal with that?
Well, our intake is pretty light, but most of all of our intake, people are better trained than I am. All of them are nurses or work in crisis field or something like that. So during our intake, we're basically looking for what type of help you need. when someone comes in and they know all the help they need, but they're not willing to take it, that's pretty much our first and biggest red flag, because it's very obvious then that they're not actually seeking any help. They're seeking to grift or to take and leech from the system. It is hard to deal with those people because some of them do have traumatic brain injuries or very traumatic pasts, but calling them to account and being honest with them and working as a team and not cornering them, that's kind of the first step. And also sometimes they break through. We do have people who have been diagnosed narcissistic, and imagine being diagnosed narcissistic. How would you move forward?
Yeah.
That's like a catch-22 if there ever was one.
Right.
So when people are looking for that, what we can do is give them a place just to listen or talk. But it definitely takes a community, and we do also listen to the rest of our guests. So if our clients come up and say, hey, I've seen this guy, or hey, I've done this, we don't instantaneously throw them out. We can't do that. But we do take notes and we do keep tabs, because we're, for example, I've been in this community many generations. So Globe, Miami is where my parents are from, and I've had family in Arizona since pretty much the end of the Civil War. And like when my wife and I recently did the crisis intervention teams training, a couple hours of it for the cops. So it's a 40-hour program where the police and first responders get a training on mental health and diversion instead of taking everything to court or everything into jail, trying to get some people into services or directly routed.
And that's what you're doing, is trying to connect the dots.
Exactly. And knowing your local resources is the first thing. So my first question to them was, do they know the 5 C's of Arizona? And across the whole room, they got 4 out of the 5, which, you know, I kind of...
Copper, cotton, cattle, corn dogs.
Citrus and climate.
That's
You
right,
did very
citrus and
good.
climate.
So, but those things...
I'm an Arizona native and I forgot.
And here we are talking about the climate, but we appreciate those things. You can see a lot of what's going on in the culture around you. And since everything is definitely culturally specific, it's nice to have people who are native, have people who are from different parts of the country entirely, from like the coasts.
Right.
The coast mentality is very different. East or west is different than the center of this, the flyover states, as they call us.
Reality.
So we are looking really more for the diversity. I mean, we have volunteers from the Rim Club in Chaparral Pines. We have volunteers that are actual clients.
Well, that brings up another good point, in that, you know, I think there's often folks that, you know, would like to do something to give back to the community, but they don't really know where to go. And you folks are looking for people to volunteer for helping with this stuff all the time.
All the time. We always have donations in flux, and we also, before my wife talks, let her, we also have noticed most of our intake people have been getting hired. So if you're looking for a job, that's another thing. We can get access to resources and referrals for that, because
Getting people off the streets.
getting people going, yeah.
So volunteers is always a must. We ask, why do you want to be here? Because everybody has a different why, whether they have life lived experience, whether they have a son suffering from mental illness who is homeless, whatever their why is, we ask, why are you here? And then we ask, what is your walk of life? What is your background? Because we definitely don't want you serving food if you're a psychiatric nurse who's retired and still wants to do intakes and do social working.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever your God-given talent is, that's what we ask for you to bring forth to the table, and that's how the community can heal. It definitely takes a village to raise a baby, so it's definitely going to take a village to heal a community.
Well, and you're really exemplifying the idea of offering people a hand up rather than a handout.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, that's a great first step towards, changing whatever patterns they've been stuck in. One of the things that I know you've been doing, Emily, that I find really fascinating is you've actually been able to take some of these people who are faced with these challenges and teach them a little bit about the food business, because I know you've been in that for a long time and you're quite gifted at it. And so you're giving them a chance to get some experience and maybe gain some confidence so they can go out and get a job doing that.
Yes, I'm a private chef, but I started as a homeless woman with 2 kids and a bag of flowers. So I thought, if I ever got ahead, and if the Lord ever provided my needs, food, water, and shelter, just the basic Maslow's hierarchy needs,
Right.
I had to give back. So I have those met. Now that I have those met, I have to give my God-given talents back for free. So the Confidence Kitchen gives you confidence. Whether you're a 12-year-old and you have no kitchen experience, or you're 99 years old and you still want purpose. We have ladies that will sit in chairs that have disabilities, that can shred lettuce with their hands. We meet everybody at whatever level they're at. And that's how we run our kitchen and also the center. We try to make it inviting, and so if you don't know and you feel better, you want to return to that, and you want to learn more about that. So with the Confidence Kitchen, it can get you a job at the deli, it could get you a job at fast food, a restaurant, or even open up your own small home-based business, a bakery, or even a food stand like me.
Right, well, and it's, again, a hand up, helping people to make that step forward instead of staying in the patterns that maybe they got stuck in for one reason or another. How many people have you done that particular thing with since you started with this, Emily?
I'm going to say about 35 people.
Wow.
2 have actually successfully gotten jobs and are actively working as food workers in the community.
Nice.
The rest, they're people that need purpose. Maybe COVID really divided us, and there wasn't a lot of connection or events or things. So
Right.
I have a strong team, about 5 women that come every single Monday. And they're coming because that's how they give their time. They don't really want to serve at the warming center itself, but they're giving the food and making the delicious meals, so they're still giving. So back to volunteering. Well, you could volunteer in the bunkhouse, you could clean, you could go in the kitchen with us on Mondays. You could come to the kitchen at the warming center and serve from 4:30 to 6:30. Our volunteer shifts are about 2 hours. When it comes into disaster or winter season, we are 24 hours, so we use about 4 to 5 hour shifts throughout the day and night. So whatever your God-given talent is, you can always give Skylar a call at the Warming Center at 928-474-3190 to get connected and volunteering, or if you have questions. If you can't physically volunteer, monetary donations is how we thrive and keep our 7-day programs available.
And obviously you have a 501c3, so those are tax-deductible contributions.
Yes.
So you can get a tax write-off if you need that. I just think it's been remarkable. I didn't realize that this has been going on since 2019.
It's a delicate balance to keep it not so loud that other people find out about us. The last thing I need is every community member in Phoenix to know that Payson has a thriving homeless initiative.
All right, come on up to Payson.
Come on up to, that is the
Yeah.
last thing we need. But
Right.
what we do need is other people in our town to know we exist.
Now, what about, as it pertains to that, it used to be my understanding that a lot of the homeless folks were up here in the woods during the summer because it's a lot milder climate than being down in the deserts of Phoenix and sweating your tuchus off. But in the winter, folks would tend to migrate back down to the valley. Is that still happening, or are you seeing people staying here year round?
I would say there's different things. So there's little circuits that some people are aware of. I would say I can think of 2 circuits in the Southwest that quite a few of our people who have vans or buses, when you see like a traveling school bus filled with people, these people have a circuit they kind of go through, and they learn a community. And it's actually kind of amazing when you see what some of them are capable of, but some of them move through. So Moab up north seems to be about the limit, and the weather doesn't get too hot there, and then when the temperature starts cooling off, they go back down south, and then when it warms back up, they go back north, and they have a pattern that they go either clockwise or counterclockwise. And so the big traveling numbers are the ones that are really hard. So in the 2 years, we've now had over 600 intakes of just adults.
And Emily, one of the things that you mentioned just before, I think, I remember correctly, it was you that mentioned it just before going on the air, that one of the other groups that has it, runs into challenges and needs your service are folks that, maybe just, I think you were mentioning something about somebody was just selling off their guest house or something like that, and so these people had to move out. I mean, sometimes it's people that have been living here, but all of a sudden find themselves without a place to be.
Yeah, so we definitely want to focus on our locals and making sure we have enough resources, excuse me, for our local community members. So we have families coming, anywhere from 5 to 10 families a week coming for prevention. Hey, I'm gonna lose my home in 3 weeks. My landlord is selling their second house. They financially can't take on the 2 houses anymore. They gotta condense, they're really sorry. We've been renters for 10 years, but they have to sell their home to keep their home. And so then we fall into this local mom and dad's working, they're not on drugs, they're thriving community members that give back to society. And they're falling in this gap of they can't find rentals because people are coming in and buying up our homes every day.
Sure.
And it leaves our poverty people or people who are working 2 jobs a very difficult place where they can't get housing. And so we're seeing a really large amount of children come in. Yesterday we had 8 and they're all under the age of 10, and I was really just blown away. So we definitely do need more resources for our family members, and we are family focused and veteran focused. We definitely are going to take care of our community first, our veterans who have fought for our freedom, our families who have never seen homelessness. We want to prevent it and make sure that they stay off the streets so they're not falling into a category that they've never experienced.
Boy, I mean, you've got a couple of things there that really tug at the heartstrings, between young children who, through no fault of their own are stuck in these situations, and our veterans who, obviously often are dealing with a lot of traumatic scars and stuff like that from their military experience. When it comes to the kids especially, when you start talking about really young ones, and the fact that they are also facing these same kind of challenges of where does dinner come from and where are we going to stay tonight and that kind of thing. The reality of the services that you all provide, comes into tight focus. Now, if we're almost out of time here, if somebody wants to either get involved through making donations, or if they would like to perhaps volunteer their time, what's the best way for them to contact you?
So the best way to contact us is, Skylar is the operations director. He handles all of our volunteer coordinating and donations. Our address is 601 East Highway 260, Building A. You can drop in and have dinner, take a tour between 4 and 7 every day. We are also in need of monetary donations. We're very low funded right now. We are just community funded, so if you would like to make a donation, you can make checks out to Payson Homeless and Homeless Veteran Initiative, abbreviation PHHVI, and mail it to P.O. Box 2732, Payson, Arizona 85547. And again, you can call Skylar at 928-474-3190. That is the number directly to the warming center. We check it 24 hours a day, and we do return phone calls within 24 hours.
All right, so what an amazing service and an amazing outreach that you have going on. Again, if you would like to, I think a lot of folks, they want to make a difference with their either the time that they volunteer or with the money that they donate, and it'd be hard pressed to find too many causes locally that are more amazing than this one. Again, if you want to make a donation, you can, again, they are the Payson Homeless and Homeless Veterans Initiative is a 501c3, so you can get a tax-deductible receipt. You can send those checks to P.O. Box 2732, Payson 85547. Again, call Skylar at 474-3190 if you have any questions. And or, I think it'd be cool too, for people, especially if you want to volunteer, to just stop by and see the operation at 601 East Highway 260. That's Mount Cross Lutheran Church. Go to Building A. Which one is Building A?
They're old.
The old sanctuary?
Old sanctuary.
Okay, that'll be just on the left as you go into the parking lot there. And again, they can go any afternoon and just come in and take a look and see what's going on.
Guaranteed from 4:30 to 6:30. Dinner is served at 5 every single day.
Right.
And it's a community dinner, so you do not need to be at risk or have any reason. It's a community dinner. You're always welcome. And the other thing is we have pretty much all the community resources that have been willing to work with us in the last few years. We have all their information up.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you just want to see what's in our town, you can come see pretty much all the town's thrift stores, little mom and pop shops, all those things.
Right. And Emily, are you still doing your cooking business as well?
So Loveland's Bakery is active, and what I do is I donate 7 days a week to the warming center by giving the Confidence Kitchen. But I'm open on Saturdays at Back to Basics when I'm not at the center.
All right, so people can find you at Back to Basics on Saturday and see all the great stuff.
Unless she has a thing, like this weekend, she has someone already bought her for a
Oh,
event.
we had a funeral
Sorry.
for a young man that passed in the local community, so
Gotcha.
I won't be there, but typically every Saturday I'm selling Lyman Ranch tacos.
Ooh, I love it. I've had some of what you've been fixing down there. It's good stuff. Well, thanks to both of you, Emily Bryce and Skylar Bryce, again with the Payson Homeless and Homeless Veterans Initiative, the Warming Center here in Payson. Keep up the great work. I think what you're doing is excellent, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you, and we thank the community.
All right. And again, if you'd like to make a donation, just write out a check and send it to P.O. Box, send it to Payson Veterans, or excuse me, let me do this in English. Payson Homeless and Homeless Veterans Initiative, P.O. Box 2732, Payson, Arizona 85547. Again, a phone number you can call for more information, 928-474-3190. You'll probably get voicemail, but they will call you back within 24 hours. Emily and Skylar, again, thank you. And thank you for tuning in and listening today to KRIM's Community Spotlight. Going to get you back to more of your favorite music. Have some tunes coming up from Al Green, Jackson Brown, America, and more. But first, a quick look at Rib Country weather.
Now with this morning's KRIM weather forecast.
Just like that?
Listening to-
All right.